Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you all the gear you need for a basic turntable setup and how to hook it up. The first thing you need is turntables. You need at least 2 turntables. You need a DJ mixer. You need headphones. You need slip mats. You need records. You need DJ needles. And if you want people to hear what you're saying, if you're going to talk to them, you need a microphone and a mic cable. You also might want to get some speakers. Now there's a few different kinds of speakers that you want to think about. If you want other people to hear you, you're going to want to have powered speakers most likely, or if they're not powered, you're going to want to have an amp. But definitely you're going to want to have at least a little reference monitor speaker for these lessons. You don't need to have speakers to learn with these lessons. You can totally learn in your headphones, but it's actually good to practice with a reference monitor, just a little, even if it's just a little computer speaker, so you can get used to listening in the headphones and listening to another speaker. And that's about it. That's all the stuff you need for a basic DJ setup. Now let's hook it up. First, you want to hook up your turntable. The turntable has 2 wires. RCA wires and a ground wire. The RCAs actually have 2 plugs on them, a red one and a white one. That's for left and right. And you're going to want to plug those into the appropriate channel on your mixer. So if it's the right turntable, plug it into the right channel. And then your ground wire hooks up to this little metal thing right here, and it grounds your turntable so you don't get a buzz or a hum. Some turntables nowadays are self-grounded, so you may not even have to deal with that wire. Next, hook up the other one. Now this ground wire looks a little bit different. That's because the little piece came off, and you might run into this a lot when you go into nightclubs and stuff, but don't freak out. All you gotta do is twist it and make a little hook. And then you hook it in the same way. Next, you want to plug in your speakers if you have them. So first, I'm going to plug in the main speakers, the master out speakers, the one that are for other people to hear. And that goes in the master out, or the main. Typically, these are XLRs on your mixer. So that's just the type of wire it is, XLR. Then we have your booth monitor or your reference monitor, and that goes in the booth output. These connectors are 1/4 inch on this mixer. Then you want to plug in your mixer. Pretty self-explanatory there. Next, if you want to have a mic, you should plug that in too. There's lots of different kinds of mic cables. This mic cable has XLR on one end and 1/4 inch on the other. The XLR is for the microphone, and the 1/4 inch is for the mixer. Now this mixer actually has 2 types of inputs. It has an XLR input and a 1/4 inch input, so you can play around with both if you want. Next, you want to plug in your needles. These are the needles I use. There's tons of needles out there. These are Shure M44-7s, and they come in 3 parts, but usually you can buy them fully assembled. There's also other needles out there that come all in one piece, so all this stuff is internal, right? But I'm showing you this so you can see the parts that are actually in a needle. So we have the stylus, which is where the actual needle is, and it has a little diamond on the end. And for DJing, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of back cueing and like moving the record backward and forward, and especially if you're going to be scratching, you want to look for a spherical stylus, and it'll say that on the documentation on the needle, not elliptical. Elliptical is shaped like this. It's more sharp, so when you back cue and you move the record, it'll tear up your record a lot more, and it's not good for the vinyl. But the spherical stylus is like a ball, and it rolls in the groove kind of through the groove, so it's better for back cueing and it won't mess up your record. So that goes right here. And then if you buy the piece all in one, and it comes with the stylus, of course, and it's gonna wear out, right? So you can always just replace, you don't have to replace the whole needle. You can just replace the stylus, and it's a lot cheaper. So that goes in right there. There's a little guard. And then this right here that holds the whole thing together is the head shell. And it has 2 screws right here that hold the cartridge. And the cartridge has these wires here that go to this little metal piece right here, and this is what you hook into the tone arm. And you just screw it in just like that. Okay, now a little bit more with the tone arm here. The tone arm is part of the turntable, right? But I got to show you this now because we have to balance our needle. So depending on the little instruction book that comes with your needle, it's going to tell you the settings to set it at, and I'm going to show you how to use that information. So first, we have to balance the needle. And on the tone arm here is this weight. It's a counterweight, and it actually has this dial here that spins independently of the weight. It's got these numbers on it, right? So first we're going to calibrate it like a scale. So you screw the weight on the back with the numbers facing the needle. And what we want to do, and make sure your guard is still on your needle, by the way, so you can protect it. You want to see how it's leaning up like that. We want it to be horizontal with the turntable. So we're going to screw it counterclockwise first towards me or towards you. Just to balance it just like that. And we want it to float. So there, see how it's floating horizontal? And then once we get it there, then we want to take the little dial and put the 0 at the top. And now that's calibrated at the 0 point. And then we want to screw the entire weight counterclockwise until, for this needle, it should be set to around 3 or 3.5. And that's the right amount of weight on the back end for this needle to hold it in place on the record. Then also, you're going to have some height adjustment information in there in your little booklet, and this is the height adjustment for the tone arm. For this needle, you can unlock it here, by the way. And for this needle, it says to do it between 3.5 and 5, and it raises and lowers the tone arm. So I like to have it around 4, usually. Just play around and see what works best for you. And then right here is the anti-skate knob. And this keeps the needle from dragging across the record. So while it's playing, you want it to stay in the groove. If you have it pulling, if you find that your needle is pulling like this towards the middle and not staying in the groove, it's kind of skating across the record, that means the anti-skate isn't set right. I always leave my anti-skate on 0, and that ensures that it will stay in the groove best as possible. And also, it has this cool little lift feature right here, which I never use. But if you want to use it, you lift this up right here, and then it's not touching the record right there. But then once you lay it down, it slowly lays the needle down. Or you can just use your hand. All right, so next we want to put our slip mats on. The slip mats are these felt things that you put on the platter. This is the platter of your turntable. And you put them on top, and it protects the record. It not only protects the record from the platter scratching it as it spins, but also protects the platter, because when you put your records on, you want the platter to spin independently when you hold the record. So you don't want to hold the record and then stop the platter, because if you stop the platter, there's a motor in there and it's going to burn it out, and you don't want that to happen. So the slip mat not only protects the record from being scratched, but also allows the platter to spin independently under the record while you're holding it. And then you need to put on your records. And the last thing you probably need are headphones. Here I have my headphones. And some mixers, they have the headphone jack up top. This one is below. And that's it. That's all the gear you need for a basic DJ setup and how to hook it up. In the next video, I'm going to show you all about the turntable and its features. Check it out.